had an undefeated regular season a couple times in the NFL. The Patriots, of course, did it before losing in the Super Bowl to the Giants. The 72 Dolphins, of course, did it en route to a Super Bowl win. But to go winless is harder than to win every single game. And my New York Jets are well on their way to doing this.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone A. Johnson here, as always. Great night of sports last night. Let me just start you off right quick with the unfortunate, unlucky Seattle Mariners and those loser fans out there in Seattle. It's funny. I've checked top to bottom on all my social media accounts over the last 12 hours, and it's almost as if the power went out. You know, the other day, AWS went down, and you couldn't shop on Amazon for a couple hours, and the internet was going a little honky, right? Yeah. Well, in Seattle, the internet must be down because I haven't seen a single post from anybody in Seattle as the Mariners, yet again, because this is what they do best, have not made it to a World Series. Only team of all the franchises that have ever played in Major League Baseball that have never made it to a World Series. Forget about winning one. They've never gotten there. And the craziest thing about it, before the George Springer 3-run bomb last night.
That's right.
That gives the Blue Jays the lead in Game 7. And then that bullpen took over when I think it was 4 consecutive innings and didn't give up a hit, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And they close out the ALCS. I want to show you some video of this the George Springer home run right here. Bang! Deep to left field. She's got legs. God! Woo-hoo!
On one leg. He did that on one leg.
On one leg, you have to be drilled in the kneecap, right? But here's the. By the way, what would your home run call be like? 2 men on, down 2, Springer up, go.
Deep to left. No, deep to left.
No, stop.
That's what I would do. Deep to left.
Deep to left.
That's where it went.
Give me some feeling, Tyrone. Put
deep
some
to left. No. Deep to left. No, you got to let it breathe. Deep
you
to
let
left.
It breathe
going
after it goes out.
Going. Oh my God, it's going. And that's how I would do it.
Oh, my Lord.
That's better than yours.
Not everyone was made to be a play-by-play guy. Quite all right. You're a good talk show host, not a good play-by-play guy.
Okay.
But here's what's crazy.
I've heard you do play-by-play.
Folks in Seattle got so cocky and arrogant after taking care of Game 5. Yeah. They had 2 shots to win 1 game to make it to their first ever World Series. And I'm getting hammered on online and people taking their shots and calling me all these bad names. And you don't know anything about baseball. And you're just, Yankee possessed and, baseball exists. West of the Mississippi. Why do you pay attention every once in a while? Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, is going to dominate. He did hit another home run, 4 in the series.
He did.
So he wasn't the problem here at all. But I sat back and I reflected a moment on my life. And I reflected on my takes in the sports world over the last couple months since we started this show the first week of September. And I'm happy to say I've got nothing wrong. Every single opinion I've had, every take I've had has proven to be accurate. The Seattle Mariners are a joke. It's a joke of a franchise. While it's a very pretty city right there on the water.
Oh, it's great.
They're a joke as far as people go. Their fandom is crazy to me. They're walking around town holding these, what are they called, serpents? What are these things? Tridents? The 3 forked thing?
Yeah, the trident.
Like, imagine being a grown man walking around town holding a trident because you're going to see a baseball game for a franchise that's never made it to a World Series, okay?
Yeah.
So I want to show you how crazy it got. Apparently, after the 5th inning last night, so before the home run by George Springer, which gives Toronto the lead that they never relinquish as they get back to the World Series for the first time in 32 years. That was the 93 World Series against your Philadelphia Phillies, Joe Carton, Mitch Williams. We know how it went. Yeah. I want to show you, this is exclusive video from inside the Mariners clubhouse when they were 4 innings away, 8 outs away, so I guess less than 4 innings away, but they were 8 outs away from making it to their first World Series ever. I want to show you how cocky they were. Show the video, guys. Look at this. That's inside the Mariners clubhouse.
What?
They're wearing shirts, you see right there, that say 8 outs away.
Yeah, with the trident.
Yeah. The Mariners were already celebrating like they had made it with a 1-run lead with 3 2/3 to go in Toronto against the Blue Jays. That's crazy right there.
You can't act like this.
The sports gods came back and bit them. So we now have a World Series that starts this weekend. It's the Dodgers against the Blue Jays. And the question now becomes, we want to have some rooting interest. If you're a gambler, obviously, wherever your money is, that's your rooting interest. But, as a Yankee fan, as a New Yorker, this is a tough one. No, I grew up a Mets fan. I became a fake Yankee fan later in life in 2009 when the Yankees played the Phillies in the World Series and took care of business and won their last World Series championship. But I don't gamble. And it's the World Series. I want to watch it. I want to have a reason to watch it. I don't want to see the Dodgers win because that's back-to-back World Series. Now we're talking the beginning of a dynasty for a team that's got as much money as anybody and will probably attract more top-level free agents this year. We saw what Ohtani obviously did in their closeout game with the 3 home runs, the 10 strikeouts, etc. But they're about to win, possibly will win, back-to-back World Series. As a New Yorker, I got to remember, my heritage. The Dodgers screwed New York. The Dodgers were in Brooklyn, and they decided we're going out to California, so screw them. I can't root for the Dodgers, all due respect to the legacy of Jackie Robinson, but I can't root for the Dodgers as a New Yorker.
You could. They were getting forced to Queens. They didn't want to go to Queens.
Do it.
They didn't want to go to Queens.
No self-respecting
Neither you go
New
to
Yorker.
Queens. Nobody goes to Queens.
No self-respecting New Yorker can root for the Dodgers today. If you told me it's 1958, I get it. I understand. Even though you were heartbroken over it, the allure of Jackie Robinson for a lot of people made a lot of New Yorkers Dodgers fans, and I get it.
And they won.
If you're Jewish, I understand the connection to Sandy Koufax.
Absolutely.
I get it, but not in 2025. There's no self-respecting New Yorker that can be a fan of the LA Dodgers and want to see the Dodgers start what is going to be a mini dynasty, if not a legit dynasty, right?
Yeah.
But then the flip side is we're Americans, man. We can't be rooting for a Canadian team to win a championship in our sport, even if none of the dudes are Canadian.
That's
we
true.
can't root for a Canadian team. And if you're a Yankee fan, man, you can't root for the Toronto Blue Jays. They're in your division, and you were tied for the best record with them, and they're the franchise that knocked you out. If you're a Mets fan, I remember about 5 years ago, thereabouts, when Met fans were going goo-goo gaga over the prospect of the Mets signing George Springer.
Yeah, I remember that.
Met fans wanted George Springer in the worst way a few years back, and now George Springer's the guy that hits the home run that gets the Blue Jays into the World Series. So for the first time ever, again, unless you're wagering on it and you follow your money, and I get that, I respect that. I don't support it, but I get it and I respect it. We're kind of alone without a team. Like, if you're a New Yorker, you cannot root for the Toronto Blue Jays. If you're a New Yorker, you cannot root for the LA Dodgers. And yet, it is the World Series. We want to watch it. Not everybody gambles. So I got to pick a team. I have until Friday on this show to do it.
You do?
So I'm not going to pick that team today. Maybe we'll put a poll up.
Oh, there you go.
Who should we root for? Like, where should we put our support behind? Because I have a reason not to root for either team. I'm trying to find a good reason to root for one of these damn teams. And I don't know if I have it. So by the end of the week, guys, put a poll up, and let's see if we can have the people decide, and I'll make a pledge.
That's fair.
If we put the poll up, when we get to Friday, and we're halfway through Friday's show, whatever the results of the poll are, that is the team that I will support. Not that it means much, but you got to pick a team.
You got to root for somebody.
You got to root for somebody in championship games, right?
You have to.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know which team. It's like normally there's a team that if you don't like them, at least there's something about the other team you can't stand.
Yeah.
It's like your wife's girlfriends, right? Like she's like, honey, I'm having my girlfriends over to the house for barbecue.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't mind Sally. She's nice. And Julie's sweet too. And Marissa's a nice girl. But I can't have Marinda over.
You don't like her.
Because I don't like her.
And she's got a weird name, Miranda. Yeah, I don't like that. Just to start with that, who the hell is a Miranda?
So for the people in Seattle, shame on you for celebrating with 8 outs to go. Shame, 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 shame.
Shame.
And congratulations to the Blue Jays. That was a crazy, awesome Game 7. Nothing better than Game 7. It's a
awesome.
one-run game, meaning literally for 4 innings, every single pitch meant a possibility of a tie game.
Yep.
And when you get to moments like that in the postseason, it is awesome. Congrats to the Dodgers. Congrats to the Blue Jays. We have ourselves a World Series. And knock on wood, fingers crossed, we get another Game 7. Coming up, C.J. Stroud has just become Justin Fields in front of our very eyes. There's a problem in Houston after this.
That Patrick Mahomes era, I'm not going to say it's coming to the end, but we've seen it slipping for the last 3 seasons. Even when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the 49ers, they shouldn't have even made the playoffs according to the metrics that year. And I think they're continuing to decline a little bit. And I'm not ready to go get all excited because they beat the Lions. Hey, they also lost to the Jaguars.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Great quarterback, the best quarterback in football. But when you play a 60-minute game of football on national TV and the referees do not call a single penalty against you when you committed 13 penalties the week before in a nationally televised loss, I'm sorry, but the jig is up.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000 FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyron Johnson here as well. We had a doubleheader last night, NFL. Let's go backwards, okay? We started off with Seattle and Houston last night, and Seattle gets the win. Not a great game, kind of sloppy on both sides, but we're learning something valuable, I think, right now about the Houston Texans. Number one, their defense is still very, 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 very good, and it's the strength of that team. But what in the world happened to C.J. Stroud, man? I know a lot of people just want to put it on the offensive line, and I think that's a part of it. They do not protect him well, and he's under duress like he was for the majority of last night's game. It looked like a jailbreak a lot of times when you had 2 or 3 defenders literally in the pocket as he planted to look for a guy to throw to. So I will give him some grace in that regard. Last night, C.J. Stroud completed less than half of his passes, had a quarterback rating under 60, and thus far this year, 6 games in, he has 9 touchdowns and 4 picks in 6 games. So it's funny because we talked about, rightfully so, his amazing Rookie of the Year season, in which he threw for more than 4,000 yards, had 23 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and wow, the Texans are in the postseason with a rookie quarterback. Great. Second year, makes the playoffs again, but his numbers come down under 4,000 yards, more than double the interceptions he had, touchdowns a little bit less, but right around the same. And it was, again, he's not as good as he was his freshman season. And that was with Stephon Diggs, who did get hurt early in the year, but Stephon was there early on, was looking like he was, vying for comeback player of the year, right? And all of a sudden, you have Mixon, you can run the football a little bit. And they went to the playoffs again. So first 2 years, really good. He kind of did it in reverse where year 2 wasn't as good as year 1. But this year's been an unmitigated disaster. As C.J. Stroud doesn't look like a very competent quarterback. I've seen him be competent, so I want to believe that it's still there. And I want to put a lot of it on the offensive line. And it makes me question why the Texans, drafted not one but two more wide receivers in the draft back in April and didn't get him legitimate, authentic offensive line help. But there's been a change in the power structure in that division now, where all of a sudden the Indianapolis Colts are the team to beat. Only one loss. You got Danny Jones, who not even debatably is now the best quarterback in that division. The Jaguars under Liam Cohen look like a completely different team. Obviously not this past Sunday they didn't,
but overall,
they're an above 500 football team, and they're vying for the division or certainly a wild card spot. So they've gotten better now. Tennessee's a joke, so keep them out of the mix. But this was supposed to be like legitimately a 5, 6, 7-year run where the Houston Texans own that division, had the best quarterback in that division. And if you watch them, not just last night, if you take the Ravens game out of the mix, the Ravens have the worst defense in all of football. So it's hard for me to tell you that the Texans are all that great if I base it on the Ravens game. If I eliminate the Ravens game, and I go, let's see the 5 games in which they played the Rams, the Buccaneers, the Jaguars, and arguably the second worst team in football, in the Titans, plus last night's game against the Seahawks. If you do that, just take the Ravens game out, worst defense in football, C.J. Stroud in 5 games has 5 touchdowns and 4 picks. That ain't good. That's a problem. No?
It's a big problem. Now, just to highlight.
And pardon me, they lose Nico last night to a concussion.
Yeah.
So based on protocol, you have to assume he misses at least 1 game.
Yeah.
And maybe more, but we'll find out later in the week about him.
Now, just to add on to the offensive line point real fast, outside of Stroud running yesterday, 15 carries, 31 yards.
Can't run the football.
So they can't run.
Offensive line.
And I think that's playing a role. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for now.
Yeah.
He has to correct it before the season is over.
But it's crazy, Tyrone, because we always talk about year 2's the year when most quarterbacks take their biggest jump.
Yep.
Because the game slows down. Then we've heard all these cliches about why year 2's usually the biggest jump as far as performance goes. But then in back-to-back years, we saw C.J. Stroud kill it year 1 at Houston. We saw Jaden Daniels kill it last year for Washington. His issues this year are injuries. He's got the hamstring again in Sunday's game. So not sure if he's going to miss more time. Looks like that's a good possibility. So I don't think his skills have deteriorated. He's just dealing with a hamstring issue that he didn't have last year. But his year 2 by default is not going to be as good as his year 1 either.
Right.
And we all kind of jumped to the gun like it's a fair expectation now because we saw it in back-to-back years from C.J. Stroud to Jaden Daniels that you can have high expectations for a franchise starting a rookie quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Because you saw it happen in back-to-back years. But here's the reality. Neither guy... Well, CJ went first. CJ's year 2 was not as good as year 1, and more because of injuries. Jaden Daniels' year 2 is not going to be as good as his year 1. They're not going to the NFC Championship game.
And
they may not make the playoffs.
They already have 4 losses.
Right.
So regardless, yeah.
So, I'm thinking about it from a Jet perspective. I'm going to have a new quarterback next year. Yeah. Can I have a fair expectation that a rookie quarterback can succeed? Well, yeah. Based on what Houston and Washington did, should I have the same expectation that I'll have continued success? No, based on what Houston and Washington are doing right now. Yeah. It's fickle, man. It's fickle. Like Bo Nix looks great. Has he been great? No. He's had moments where he looks like he's the real deal. Drake May looks like the real deal. Michael Penix has had a couple games where maybe he is the real deal. But I think when we overreact to a rookie season, all right, or a small amount of data, I think we do it at our own peril. Because I'm watching the game last night, and look, I happen to like Seattle. I like McDonald. Sam Darnold is a legitimate, starting quarterback in the league now. Their defense is really good. I thought it was a sloppy game.
It was.
So I didn't learn much from the game, other than the offensive line of the Texans is arguably the worst offensive line in all of football.
Very poor.
Right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know how good C.J. Stroud is. Like, C.J. Stroud might be done. You got to at least ask the question, if you're a diehard Texans fan right now, do you believe today that C.J. Stroud is the right man to be your franchise quarterback for the next 10 years?
But
I think if you asked that question 4 weeks ago, the answer was yes.
Yeah.
I think if you asked that question today, I don't know that you get a yes.
Yes, I hear you, but
What a tremendous fall from grace.
It is, but your former partner that you work with, offensive lineman.
Yeah.
They're very, very, very important.
That's what he keeps telling me.
And if you look at every good team, they also can block, and the Texans can't block. So
Yeah.
I can't say he's done. It's too early.
I don't know. I'm weirded out about C.J. Stroud. And that's why I want to be fair. I opened up by saying the offensive line stinks.
Yes.
Worst offensive line in football. But C.J. Stroud looks shell-shocked, man. He does look like a good quarterback. We'll get to the Detroit-Tampa game right after this. The worst officiated game since Kansas City played.
And sometimes your offense can benefit your defense.
Yeah.
They are going to need to sustain drives, I believe. They can't go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and all of a sudden Price and Jeremiah Love are ripping your defense for 5 and 8 yards per carry. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day. So we'll see how this game plays out. I do favor the rushing attack and physicality of Notre Dame. The way they're running the football right now is as good as anybody.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I think I just smiled for the first time in relation to this game.
Yeah, my misery, right? My misery cost you a smile.
That was the price to
This
pay.
game is like watching paint dry. I mean, 21-0 in the first half. We have no action in the second. Brian Thomas, glass house. The guy can't stay on the field. There's stone hands today.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Don't worry, too much. I don't think Kendrick Bourne is a bad play. He's probably a good streamer, but I don't think he's going to get you 10 for 140 again. And he got you 10 for 140 again. And now he gets Mac Jones again this week playing quarterback. And Mac Jones has just found this connection. Now, you do have a returning George Kittle. That's going to put a wrinkle in this offense. Eventually, you should get a returning Brock Purdy. So Bourne's value is at its zenith. That's when you try to sell guys off.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Good to have you here. Tyrone Johnson as well. Last night, the first game last night, Detroit-Tampa. Obviously, Tampa's all banged up with at wide receiver more than any other position.
Yeah.
Plus, Bucky's not playing either, so there goes their best running rusher as well. And yet they compete, man. That team is full of fight. That team competes. They did suffer their second loss of the year last night. Baker Mayfield, to be fair, threw the ball 50 times, wasn't great. Overthrew a couple guys. Threw the one crossing pattern to Tez Johnson, missed him by a couple yards, had him wide open in the end zone. So I think he'd be the first to tell you wasn't great. But I got to be honest, Tyrone. There was a part of the game, second half specifically, down by 2 scores. But Tampa looks like they're fighting back. Their defense started playing much better. The Lions' offense did nothing in the fourth quarter.
None.
And I give Tampa's defense a lot of credit for hanging on and forcing punt after punt after punt. But there was a minute last night, and I was stone cold sober. Take my word for it, okay? The edible had not kicked in yet, all right? Where I could have sworn the Kansas City Chiefs were playing in last night's game. Because there was a key play, a fourth down play, where Baker Mayfield hits his tight end coming across the middle, and he's got to stretch his arms out to get a first down. Looked like he did it. As he makes contact with the ground, the ball comes loose. I thought the refs did a good job in that moment. Not a fumble, contact, body down, no fumble, first down, Tampa. All right, great. Drive's going to continue on the Lions side of the 50. Maybe Tampa gets a touchdown, makes it a 1-score game, and then the final 5-6 minutes are going to be awesome, right?
Yeah.
So Dan Campbell, which is the smart move coaching-wise, throws the challenge flag. And he's challenging what we thought, one of a couple things, I suppose. A, was it a fumble? B, are we even suggesting that he caught the ball? Because the ball does come loose as the tight end, was it Otten, I think, comes down on the field,
He was an elite receiver, last night.
So they review it, and the review is not a fumble, down by contact, and they'd already called first down on the field, so that wasn't even part of the review. So Tampa gets a 1st and 10 on the Lions side of the field, of the 50. And then this is really reminiscent of the Detroit-Kansas City situation where they go to commercial break. We come out of commercial break, and the referee's making an announcement that somewhat arbitrarily, they decided to do a second review. But they had already reviewed possession. They got that right. They had already reviewed down by contact. They had gotten that right. And the referee said in the moment that he had gotten the first down line, so it's 1st and 10 for Tampa. So they reviewed everything else. Tampa ball 1st and 10. Tampa's offense is on the field, ready to rock. And then out of the blue, they come up with this arbitrary second review, which I assume came from New York, although they didn't say that.
They didn't say it.
So they announced, we're doing a second review, and upon second review, we have now determined he did not gain the line to make it a first down. No measurement, none of that digital stuff where we see a picture of the ball and where it is. Just an arbitrary, we're taking the ball away from you and giving it to Detroit. And as much as the Detroit Lions, absolutely, I don't care what you morons and inbred say in Kansas City, no matter what you want to say, the Lions got screwed by the refs in their game against Kansas City, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Both on the Goff touchdown and no penalties being called against the Chiefs. This was so clearly payback to the Detroit Lions, but they did it to the expense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was the NFL saying, we owe you one. We screwed you on the touchdown overturn with the Goff on the first drive against the Chiefs, and we got caught red-handed, and now everybody's talking about it. So what are we going to do? We're going to make it right to Detroit. Now, Detroit was up 2 touchdowns already in this game. So it wasn't like, it was a closer game. It was a 2-touchdown spread at the time of this. But that was, to me, clearly New York saying, well, wait a minute. This is an opportunity to give one back to Detroit and help them win the game against Tampa. The NFL has the worst officials of any professional sport on the planet. Myself and many others have been crying for professional referees who are not in their 60s. You should age out of being an NFL official.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't be a bank president Monday to Friday and an NFL official on Sunday. It's wrong. And while I think the NFL sticks their greedy little fingers into the mix on plays like that, on the Kansas City situation as well against Detroit, it's wrong. And now that you've gotten in bed with gambling companies and good, hardworking Americans are risking their mortgage payments on the outcome of games, the least you could do is to keep it straight. That's all we're asking. Let the better team win. And the NFL again yesterday put its greedy little fingers into the mix there. They called down to the referees. They said, do another review because we don't think he got a first down. And let's appease Lions fans for how we screwed them 2 weeks ago against the Kansas City Chiefs. Tampa deserved better, and Detroit didn't need the help. Yuck.
That Patrick Mahomes era, I'm not going to say it's coming to the end, but we've seen it slipping for the last 3 seasons. Even when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the 49ers, they shouldn't have even made the playoffs according to the metrics that year. And I think they're continuing to decline a little bit. And I'm not ready to go get all excited because they beat the Lions. Hey, they also lost to the Jaguars.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Great quarterback, the best quarterback in football. But when you play a 60-minute game of football on national TV and the referees do not call a single penalty against you when you committed 13 penalties the week before in a nationally televised loss, I'm sorry, but the jig is up.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Better bets $90, $90,000, FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheridan always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Something brewing here in New York, and something I put on Twitter earlier today. I miss Robert Saleh. He was the best head coach we've had in a decade, if not longer than that. And it's funny because with the New York Jets being 0-7 right now, and I'm in the camp that Aaron Glenn is not yet ready to be a legitimate head coach in the NFL. Yeah. He might one day. And I happen to like the guy, but thus far he's proven that the job's a little too much for him. And we're going to, I guess, have to be patient and let him grow into it and figure out how to be a head coach, because I don't think he's getting fired. Even if they go 0-17, I just don't see that on the table from Woody Johnson, because it'd be him admitting to yet another mistake in a career of making bad mistakes as the owner of the Jets. But I don't think we appreciate enough what Robert Saleh did here. Robert Saleh won 7 games in back-to-back seasons with Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco, Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, and 4 snaps out of Aaron Rodgers. Their defense was legit top 10. Their offense was just getting ready to start cranking. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, 4 plays into that game against the Buffalo Bills on that Monday night. And I'm thinking about it. The thing that's starting to really bother me for the people that are defending Aaron Glenn and want to see Aaron Glenn stay is when we make the comparison. Well, Aaron Glenn was on the Dan Campbell coaching staff when they lost their first, 10, 11 games, whatever it was, and had a 1-win season out there, year 1 in Detroit. And because Detroit was patient with him, look at the dividends it's paid now. A bunch of really good drafts, right? An aggressive coach that learned on the sideline in year 1 how to be a game day coach. They had to make the big trade to get Goff. And next thing you know, bang, the Lions are the class of the NFC. So that's one of the comparisons people keep making. Hey, Aaron Glenn's experienced this before. The problem with that is if we're going to make comparisons to other franchises and bad starts, like historically bad starts, well, then you have to include all of them. You can't just cherry pick the one guy that started off 0-11 and then became a perennial playoff team and a legitimate threat to make it to a Super Bowl and the number 1 seed last year in the NFC, because for the rule is that when you do get off to that kind of start, you never recover from that. You don't turn it around and become Dan Campbell. And the Jets should not make comparisons to Dan Campbell because they've experienced this type of start, although not 0-7, in their own history. Like, if you're a New York Jet fan, you have to remember the Rich Kotite days. You have to.
You have to.
A 1-win season, a 3-win season. Just because Dan Campbell figured it out in Detroit and they benefited from super great drafts and an amazing trade, as it turned out, getting rid of a Hall of Fame quarterback in Matthew Stafford for a guy that we didn't think was going to be very good and turned out to be great, not good, and is building a great resume for himself in Detroit in Jared Goff. That's not the norm. That's the exception.
Absolutely.
The Adam Gases of the world are the norm. The Rich Kotites of the world are the norm. The Jeff Ulbrich, although it was a short amount of time, that's the norm. It's very rare to start off 1-15, 0-7, 1-10, 2-12, whatever it might be, and then somewhere down the line with the same franchise have great success. That doesn't happen. So for those of you that want me to be patient and want me to say, well, Aaron Glenn's experienced this before, so he's the right guy to get us out. No. The reality is that if you were a gambling man, it's far more likely that the Jets don't get this right under Aaron Glenn than that they do.
Absolutely. You're
That's
absolutely
the
right.
norm.
That's the norm.
So please stop trying to make me feel better by pointing out how great the Detroit Lions have been the last 3 years and telling me that that's possible for the New York Jets. We don't have a quarterback. We don't. We don't have a head coach that knows what the hell he's doing. Detroit does. They've got a veteran quarterback and a guy that's turned out to be a damn good coach. Now, look, there may come a point later in life, kind of like with Todd Bowles, who had a 5-year run in New York, and obviously it didn't pan out the way he wanted to.
Did win 10 games, though. Did win 10 games
Yeah,
once.
he's the last guy, by the way, to win double-digit games for the New York Jets. And, we wanted him to leave town. We didn't have the success we wanted. And to Todd Bowles' credit, reinvented himself down in Tampa, takes over for Bruce Arians, and has been a really good head coach where they've won 4 consecutive division titles now. But what came along with it? Because they lost Tom Brady, obviously. Arians goes, but what did Todd Bowles get? He got himself a legitimate quarterback. He got Baker Mayfield. If Baker Mayfield doesn't go to Tampa, Todd Bowles is no longer the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that would have been his last shot in life to be the head coach of an NFL team. Look at Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris has not been a successful head coach in the multiple opportunities he's got, but in Atlanta, I know they lost 20-10 to San Francisco. All of a sudden, it looks like he might have a quarterback. And because he might have a quarterback, and they have the best running back in football right now in Bijan Robinson, Raheem Morris now looks like a competent head coach. But previous to this, he wasn't. So some of it's not on the head coach. I accept that. It's who your personnel is. But it is very, very rare. It's happened a few number of times where you author a 0-win, 1-win, 2-win, let's even say 3-win season, and you're the guy at the helm when it does get turned around, and you're looking at 11 wins, 12 wins, 13 wins, playoff runs. So again, nothing personal against Aaron Glenn, but just because he was a part of the Detroit turnaround under Dan Campbell does not mean he's the best guy to lead this turnaround. He's not. And the Lions, for a long time, were merely the Jets of the NFC.
Oh, yeah.
So from a franchise standpoint, there has never been a lot of winning in Detroit. So that's the only apples-to-apples comparison. Dan Campbell overtook an incompetent organization just like Aaron Glenn has. Aaron Glenn is not getting the time that Dan Campbell got to turn it around and make it right. So please stop telling me, well, Detroit did it, therefore Aaron Glenn's going to do it. I don't buy that narrative.
No, and I'm trying to look at Jets history, not even NFL history. I'm looking at all the coaches that have been this poor. Here's some names. Rich Kotite.
Yeah.
Adam Gase. I know he's known for a lot of winning. Lou Holtz in the NFL. Not great.
Listen, do me the solid because I'm having a good day. I'd rather you not repeat to me the history of the franchise that I've followed since 1975.
I'm only highlighting
Please don't do it.
That coaches that usually stink this bad, I'm highlighting the point factually that you are correct. None of them in Jets history.
No, I know. That's my point.
None of them
And there's no reason to think that Aaron Glenn will either. And I'll give you this. We don't have a quarterback. But the reality is that Aaron Glenn's the guy that had Aaron Rodgers fly from California to New Jersey and walked out of the meeting after telling him we're going in a different direction.
What direction?
Aaron Rodgers wanted to come back to the Jets outside of the fact that Woody Johnson's teenage son was running the franchise through comments on Reddit. So it's Aaron Glenn. Don't forget this. Aaron Glenn chose Justin Fields over Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is the MVP candidate he once was. He's not. But he's also the quarterback for a first-place team right now in the AFC North. And the quarterback you chose, rightfully so, got benched at halftime for a journeyman, use the word correctly, in Tyrod Taylor. Used it right. Tyrus, so you made that choice, Aaron Glenn. That wasn't Muji. That wasn't Woody Johnson. That was Aaron Glenn saying, and I remember what he said. The reason he moved on from Aaron Rodgers for Justin Fields is that he didn't want to be in the front of the room talking to the team, only to have guys in the back of the room turning to Aaron Rodgers to validate what he was saying in the front. In other words, he was insecure.
Yep.
He was insecure as a first-time head coach about what the four-time MVP might be doing in the back of the room. That is nothing but insecurity. And you cannot be insecure and be the head coach of an NFL team. I miss Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has never gotten a fair shake from Jets fans. And when you look at his career in New York, never made the playoffs, never had a winning season, bad. The dude won 7 games in back-to-back years with Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, Mike White, Joe Flacco, and Zach Wilson. That's damn good coaching. We missed out on a good one.
That Patrick Mahomes era, I'm not going to say it's coming to the end, but we've seen it slipping for the last 3 seasons. Even when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the 49ers, they shouldn't have even made the playoffs according to the metrics that year. And I think they're continuing to decline a little bit. And I'm not ready to go get all excited because they beat the Lions. Hey, they also lost to the Jaguars.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Great quarterback, the best quarterback in football. But when you play a 60-minute game of football on national TV and the referees do not call a single penalty against you when you committed 13 penalties the week before in a nationally televised loss, I'm sorry, but the jig is up.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000 FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Sheriff Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin, who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here, as always. Time for some news and notes. Let's start in the NFL. It just shows you how dysfunctional the Cleveland Browns are and why Jimmy Haslam should sell the team and Andrew Berry should be fired. So Jimmy Haslam's on the sideline of the Browns. This is when the Browns just had their big win this past weekend, right? And those are his kids. Jimmy Haslam's kids are wearing Shedeur Sanders jerseys on the sideline of a Cleveland Browns game. That's the win against the Miami Dolphins on Sunday.
It's terrible.
Like, come on, guys. Can you be that tone deaf? You have a rookie quarterback fighting for his life in Dylan Gabriel, who did a good job.
He did.
They ran the hell out of the ball because it was like 40-mile-per-hour winds. But give the kid credit. He gets his first win as a starting quarterback, a kid they think more of than they do Shedeur. And the owner's family shows up on the sideline wearing Shedeur Sanders jerseys. Again, style over substance. Popularity contest, Shedeur's a Hall of Famer. But at some point, if I'm the owner of the Cleveland Browns and my adult kids show up to the Browns-Dolphins game and they're rocking the jersey of the backup quarterback that a lot of people are yelling for to become our starter, I would say to both my kids, take the jerseys off, don't wear them on the sideline, because it's disrespectful to Dylan Gabriel.
It's absolutely disrespectful. This also adds to my theory that the coaching staff wants to cut him but the owner's not letting him.
I don't know. I can't speak to that, but like you can't, like your family can't play into the nonsense by rocking the Shedeur jersey. And this is not a knock on Shedeur at all. This is just stupidity from the Haslam family to show up and not think people are going to talk about it. Because that tells you the Haslam family wants Shedeur Sanders to be the starting quarterback. Of course, there's no merit for that, but it's why everything in Cleveland goes south. And I love the 5 people in Cleveland. I lived there for a year. Had a great time there. Anyway, that's what happened on the sideline there. Congratulations to Donnie Baseball. Don Mattingly, who never got to enjoy the Yankees' playoff success. He missed it by 1 year. Just missed the great run with the bad back and all that. But Don Mattingly, who's been in baseball since 1924, has now made it to his first ever World Series. Obviously, he was a longtime manager, and now he's a bench coach for the Toronto Blue Jays. And you can't find a better guy out there than Don Mattingly. So just happy for Donnie that he has made it into the World Series for the first time. You know, we talk about load management a lot in the NBA. It's one of my biggest gripes with the NBA, that dudes make $50 million a year and can't show up and play 82 basketball games a year. Now, legitimate injury is one thing, but you know what we're talking about. We're not going to play on Wednesday because we want to save him for April, some nonsense like that. And to show you that I'm honest with everyone, I got to take a shot at my beloved Knicks.
Oh, yeah?
The New York Knicks open tomorrow. The season opens tonight. There's a doubleheader tonight. Yep. You've got the Rockets in Oklahoma City. You've got Golden State at the Lakers, okay? I happen to like both road teams to win these 2 games. So those are the 2 games tonight. So the NBA is back. The New York Knicks announced yesterday that our big man, Mitchell Robinson, will most likely not play in the season opener tomorrow night. Ask me why.
Well, why? Clearly,
load management.
It's not an ankle?
He hasn't played a game yet, and we're already resting him for the finals? Like, what?
And they don't play till Friday after tomorrow. It doesn't make any sense. It's not a back-to-back.
Play Wednesday,
day off
on Thursday, play again on Friday. Now, Mitchell Robinson's key to our success. Great defensive player, lousy offensive player, but he's key to our defense, right? And sit him on Friday, I suppose, which I'd also have a problem with. But this is everything wrong with the NBA, that we are already sitting a guy in the first game of the season, not because he's hurt, but because we don't want to play him too much this season. It's crazy to me.
So my guy Joel Embiid going to be out there for the opener, but Mitchell Robinson's sitting out the opener.
Yeah, look,
come on.
Paul George is sitting out there.
Paul George is hurt though. It's not load management.
He's always hurt.
It's always hurt.
But I'm rocking the Nick out today.
Yeah.
This drives me crazy that we're load managing a guy in the first game of the season.
Why not lie?
Yeah.
Why not say it's an ankle or a wrist or a finger or something? Why not lie?
Tyrone, I'm with you 100%.
Just lie.
On that.
It's the opener. Lie. Oh, he turned the ankle in practice.
Speaking of basketball, a book came out talking about the LeBron Lakers. And the takeaway from the book is that Russell Westbrook hates LeBron James.
Yeah.
And specifically, there's one aspect of LeBron's character, according to Russell Westbrook, that he hates more than anything else, and that's that he's fake bleep. So now it's finally all coming out. It's all finally coming out. You know, active players taking shots at LeBron, and Russell Westbrook would know. He played with him.
Yeah.
Obviously, now LeBron tried to orchestrate a trade for Kyrie Irving, which would have meant that Russell would have had to have been traded away from the Lakers, which is a side part of the story. But Russell Westbrook came out and said in this book that he hates LeBron because he's fake ass.
Yeah.
And then there's other words I can't say on the show. But everything I've been saying about LeBron is now once again being proved to be accurate. Russell Westbrook is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Period. Stop. And I know the Kings just signed him. Would have been good on the Knicks once Bogdan decided to retire. Neither here nor there. But I believe what Russell Westbrook says. Whatever you want to say about him, he ain't a liar. And he's telling you that LeBron James, while a great basketball player, is fake. Fake ass. I love it. I love that.
Is there a possibility, though, I'm just asking, that it's sour grapes from him getting traded to Utah that year? He still got traded.
Right.
And then he ends up getting bought out and he ended up with the Clippers. Is there any chance?
I think he probably blames LeBron for that. So there might be some hard feelings there.
I'm just wondering.
But I like it. I'm all for it. I want all the smoke on that.
Also don't think Westbrook's alive.
Speaking of LeBron, Dr. J came out and said he is LeBron James ranked 15th overall
in
the history of the NBA. So you can yell at me for not having him in my top 5, because I have Durant in there and not LeBron.
Yeah.
But Dr. J, Julius Erving.
Oh, he said
one of the greats said he has LeBron James not in his top 10. He's the 15th best basketball player. I love Dr. J. That's my dude right there.
And I call him Mr. J due to his disrespect of Joel Embiid. So Mr. Irving, he's out of his mind.
Dr. J.
Mr.
Dr. J.
Mr. J.
Dr. J.
Mr. J.
The greatest player the Sixers have ever had, not named Allen Iverson. Dr. J.
Moses Malone and Wilt both also better than Mr. J.
Dr. J. You're a LeBron guy. I didn't realize
I'm not
that
a LeBron guy.
No,
This
clearly
he's
you are.
not 15. 15 is not.
You're a LeBron guy.
What are you talking about? That's like somebody trying to say chicken parm is a bottom 5 dish. I'm not caping for chicken parm, but we can't fake like that's real. Everyone loves chicken parm.
I love chicken parm.
Ask anybody. Everybody loves chicken parm.
And I hope I have time just to prove to you again, only 20 seconds. All right, let me just set this up. Right after literally 2 minutes, I need 120 seconds of your time. In 2 minutes, it's further proof that Kansas City fans will eat their own. I'm going to let that sit there just like that. I have legitimate, non-doctored video of Kansas City fans willing to eat their own. Right after this.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90, $90,000, FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheridan always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's bet.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think they are fringes. Yeah, that might be a push. That's a preference thing, I think. Do you want to be in the SEC? Do you want to live in Happy Valley versus Norman? Maybe you can go down to Texas. I would take Norman. Well, to go down and get talent out of Texas. Yes. But I think you've got to have alumni, president, athletic director that are all on board and committed to winning. And you need to have a fan base that shows up in sports.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, reminder, NBA basketball starts tonight. There's a doubleheader. You get to see Kevin Durant with the Houston Rockets on the road against the champs. I guess they'll do the banner tonight in Oklahoma City. That's the first game. And then the late game tonight, get to see Steph Curry while you can, going up against LeBron. He's out. That's right, LeBron's out. I totally forgot. He's probably in Europe getting some kind of treatment so that he can play.
Go against Luka.
You get Luka. You get Luka and Austin Reeves, I guess. That's a bad basketball team. Anyway, you get Golden State Warriors at the Lakers, and that's how the NBA opens with a doubleheader tonight. We're both huge NBA guys, so as you'll learn, if you're not familiar with the show or you're just getting used to the Carton Show, lots of NBA coming up. Once we get through football season. But as major things happen in the NBA, we'll be all over it. We're very close with the league. The commissioner will be on the show, Adam Silver, and a lot of other NBA players. Plus, Timmy Hardaway's coming by next week. He's our NBA insider.
I'm looking forward to that.
Here on the show. Real quick, I got to give you this Kansas City thing. And here's the setup. You have 2 Kansas City Chiefs fans at the Kansas City game this past weekend, and they're being kicked out of the stadium by stadium security because other Chiefs fans ratted them out for cheering. Watch this video. Check this out.
Hey, we're being kicked out for code of conduct, and our code of conduct was what?
That you are disrupting the enjoyment of
because we were standing up cheering for the Chiefs.
Excessively, yes.
Excessively cheering for the Chiefs.
No, excessively standing.
Excessively standing.
We were only cheering when they're on
So
the field.
standing up and cheering when the Chiefs are on the field is excessive.
No. Like I said,
That's what we were doing.
They observed that you were non-compliant and that you never sat down.
We sat down during timeouts and stoppages of play.
Sit down when they weren't on
The
the
second
field.
time the lady walked by, she was sitting down.
I was
So
sitting
what
down.
is? So I don't understand how it's a code of conduct issue for standing up cheering.
Again, I have told you that it's a non-compliance issue. If you have further issues with our decision, then you can call into the Chiefs on Monday. But I can assure you there will not be a refund because it was a code of conduct violation.
So you can stop it there. So they were kicked out of their own game as fans of the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium for excessive standing. So anytime something good happened, and they just blew the Raiders out, right? 31-0, I think was the final score. And there's a lot to cheer about, obviously, right?
Of course.
So they're standing up and cheering and clapping for the home team. And that, look, it's not that gal's fault. She's doing what she's told there by stadium security. But Kansas City Chiefs, they eat their own there. Like, don't you want your fans standing up and cheering and making a ruckus, which is why a lot of opponents say it's a very tough stadium to play in?
Yes, it's
right?
loud. Yeah, you
it's
want it
loud
loud.
there.
Yeah.
So not only did these two people who probably dropped a decent amount of money on tickets to go watch the Chiefs play, not only did they get kicked out, the woman also says, we're not giving you a refund either. Like, you ain't getting your money back. And again, the guy's incredulous. He goes, excessive what? And she looks at her notes and goes, excessive standing. You're not allowed to stand and cheer at Arrowhead? Like, I thought this was supposed to be one of the biggest home field advantages in football. A lot of people say it is.
It used to be, at least.
I that's all good. But now the Chiefs organization are kicking people out of the stadium for doing what you're supposed to do as a fan of the home team. And here's what makes it worse. It means that other people in that section ratted them out to security
100%.
and demanded that they be removed from the stadium.
That's right.
Because they were interfering with their enjoyment of the game, which I guess for those people was sitting down, hands on your lap like you're in church, and quiet as a mouse, right?
That's right.
Like, what? I told you can't trust Kansas City for nothing.
Now, there's two theories. Now, I was listening as a professional drinker. I was listening. I didn't hear a lot of alcohol in the larynx.
I agree.
I did not hear a lot of alcohol in the larynx. Sounded sober. The other part is I would imagine there was some big old fat ass who had loaded up on barbecue.
Yes.
And couldn't stand physically. And they were blocking them for mad long. And I think that might have what
I think you
caused
probably got it. I think that's probably right.
Now, what I say is you go get the pry bar, and you get up, you use the pry bar as a cane, and you stand up and watch the game.
Yeah,
you don't complain about the other person.
Diabetes is a terrible disease.
I mean, you sit there with a full rack of rib and the brisket, you overdid it. Okay, you can't do both.
No, so anyway, look, I'm not making this stuff up. That literally happened with a Kansas City Chief fan. I wrote it down. Excessive standing. Anyhow, I appreciate you watching the show. Make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple, wherever you get your podcast. We started about a week or so ago, but every show's there. Every segment is there. Appreciate your support. Watch us on YouTube. That drops at 1 o'clock every afternoon. And SportsGrid reruns this at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So tons of opportunity to catch what we do here. And just keep an eye on October 29th as we leave you for the day. October 29th is supposed to be the day that the A1 Atlas thing out there in space comes into our orbit. And there are people that believe it's the end of civilization as we know it. Meaning the New York Jets will have fewer wins when the earth ends than the New York Knicks do. That is now on the table. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching the Craig Carton Show. That's Tyrone Johnson. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point, but if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas
in the fourth quarter,
yeah, come on,
right? I mean, really? I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year, and I think big picture, they're going to be probably the most consistent moving forward. The problem I have is this guy, Trevor Lawrence, big picture. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly sometimes is real ugly. He is not comfortable in the pocket on a consistent basis, and that's a problem.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We've had an undefeated regular season a couple times in the NFL. The Patriots, of course, did it before losing in the Super Bowl to the Giants. The 72 Dolphins, of course, did it en route to a Super Bowl win. But to go winless is harder than to win every single game. And my New York Jets are well on their way to doing this.
The Craig Carton Show.